This week's video is brought to you by the support from Heroes of the Empire, Ronald Morgan, Abby Gordon, Scout Trooper Captain Noah Dingley, and I'm just happy to be a Stormtrooper, Adam Jordan. The Empire thanks you for your generosity and service. You are all heroes of the Empire. I am also proud to announce we have finally hit the 2,000 subscriber mark, and while Master Qui-Gon would say, there's always a bigger fish, the ranks of the Empire are steadily growing, and I am most grateful to each and every one of you who tune in, comment, and share these videos every week. We wouldn't be an empire without each and every one of you, and over these last 4 years, I am proud of the community we have built. If you're new here, join the Empire today by subscribing, and together we will rule the internet. Between Jurassic World Dominion, Tiny Tom's triumphant Top Gun, and the latest episode of the wacky adventures of Princess Liea and her crusty sidekick, Ben Augie Doggy, it's been a big week for dorky YouTubers all across the interwebs. And while I enjoyed the first 2 episodes of Kenobi about as much as I like sand, Episode 3 managed to turn up the heat and rekindle my interest in the series. So is Episode 4 a new hope for the show? Our story begins, like most episodes of the Book of Boba Fett, as Kenobi stews in his own juices inside a Bacta tank, after the grilling I gave him in Part 3. Across the galaxy, Leia is getting a grilling of her own by the frighteningly unfrightening third sister. While interrogating my little princess, the inquisitive Reva McIntyre tries to Kylo Ren her way inside Leia's head, because no one expects the Imperial Inquisition. But her resistance to the mind probe is considerable. It'll be some time before we can extract any information from her. We will return to her interrogation shortly, but I must admit, I found her being captured for the second time most tedious. It essentially reset the plot of the series back to the end of the first episode. It's also just strange that my little girl needs to be busted out of jail so often. She's the Princess of Alderaan. You'd think she'd at least have some bail money. And it's a good thing Kenobi was trained by Liam Neeson, since Leia gets taken so regularly on this show. Yes, Obi-Wan Kenobi is her only hope, and he sets off to rescue the princess. Things go swimmingly at first, as he makes his way into the Inquisitor base, and I'll admit, seeing him use the rebreather he and Qui-Gon used in Episode 1 was a nice touch. That being said, the sequence could have used a bit more excitement. I personally would have loved to see him fight a Dianoga, the creature from the Garbage Masher in Episode 4. Losing his rebreather while fighting a monster underwater with his lightsaber would have added tension and some classic Star Wars adventure, while extending the episode's disappointingly short runtime. Seeing Kenobi as a Jedi Knight in a traditional tunic, using the Force and his lightsaber to fight his way through the Dark Tower and rescue the captive princess was a return to the mythic roots of Star Wars this series has been sadly lacking up until now. So needless to say, it was refreshing to see some swashbuckling adventure as Obi-Wan made his way through the Fortress Inquisitorius, or as I like to call it, Crazy Palpatine's Dead Jedi Emporium. Beautifully displayed in amber, these fallen Jedi will make a fine addition to your collection. The perfect Sithmas gift for the Dark Lord who has everything. Conveniently located on I-44 in the Mustafar system. Visit Crazy Palpatine's Dead Jedi Emporium today and order 66 while supplies last. Padawan sold separately, lightsabers and severed limbs not included. And now, my viewers, we will discuss what I didn't like about this episode. Leia's interrogations. Third sister tries to uncover the location of the hidden Jedi path, basically the underground railroad for Jedi in hiding. Not only does Reva lack any sense of intimidation in these scenes, the fact that she's interrogating Leia about the Jedi Underground makes zero narrative sense whatsoever. Let me explain. Reva would know the princess normally has no contact with Jedi, and therefore would have no knowledge of any secret organizations, because the only reason Leia even knows Kenobi in the first place is because Reva had her kidnapped just days or weeks earlier. But hold on to your blue milk, Star Wars fans, it gets worse, because Reva killed the pilot who flew this secret route and captured Leia instead. So her genius plan to uncover this whole network is to kill the one guy who could tell her everything she wants to know and try to interrogate the child who knows absolutely nothing about it, making Reva as clumsy as she is stupid. Rather than a fruitless interrogation, they should have just used Leia as bait, like in The Empire Strikes Back. Fortunately, Kenobi arrives just in time and saves Leia before any harm can come to her. And after some aggressive negotiations, Kenobi tries to smuggle the little princess out of the base under his trench coat like a clumsy shoplifter. I did like seeing the rebel speeders though, so that was pretty wizard. Seeing Kenobi from the prequel era, interacting with classic Star Wars vehicles, stormtroopers, and myself in my full armor is definitely one of the strengths of this series. And after our heroes make their getaway in a speedy spaceship, I burst onto the scene. And I will say, one thing this show does very well is display the power of the dark side. Because just when it seems like Reva has failed me for the last time, she manages to gurgle out that she put a homing device on their ship. And I decide that she may yet be of some use to us. So I let her down easy, and the episode ends zooming in on Leia's droid, which is now an Imperial tracking device, which will lead me to Kenobi and the Rebellion. So overall, while this episode was much better than the first two in my opinion, there are a few story points and acting performances that kept me from enjoying this completely. Again, I find the lack of Star Wars themes disturbing. So the musical score hits a sour note with me. In the end, it had its moments, not many of them, but they do have them. However, my main concern is that we only have 2 episodes left to bring the series as a whole to a satisfying conclusion. And I hope this will not end up being another Book of Boba Fett situation. But time will only tell. But those are my thoughts. What did you think of it? Comment below and let me know. This has been Vader Reviews, and always remember, you don't know the power of the dark side.